What's going on, team? Welcome back along to the channel, and that's right, we've had a week off, but we are back and ready to fire in to the Rugby Championship round number 3, the final round, the end of the story. It all closes off here. So this weekend we've got Australia hosting New Zealand, or the Wallabies, versus the All Blacks. And across in Argentina, we'll have the Pumas versus the Springboks. So Argentina versus South Africa, and that is it. It is all on the line, however. The South Africans have a 1-point lead at the top of the table over the All Blacks following that draw last round. So it is all in their favour, some may say, heading into this final matchup or this final weekend of the competition. Okie dokie, so moving into game number 2, it is Argentina versus South Africa, the Pumas versus the Springboks. Now, this is it really. South Africa, win it well, and the Rugby Championship is yours. And I think, speaking for probably just about any New Zealander around the place, probably any Australian, Argentina will probably take this if they could have won the tournament from here. But no winner of the Rugby Championship has won the World Cup. So, you know, I look at this and say, go South Africa, go get the job done. Because if you win it, I mean, that is a bit of an early knocker. I mean, records are made to be broken. So whoever wins it, of course, has that pressure as well of knowing that stat is going to be rolled out time and time and time again in the build-up to the Rugby World Cup, during the Rugby World Cup, and as far as they get in the Rugby World Cup as well. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword here, isn't it, for the Springboks? They want to do as well as possible. They want to perform. But do they want to go into that? Of course they do. Of course they want to go into the World Cup as champions of the Rugby Championship. The best Southern Hemisphere team strikes fear into their opposition. But the Pumas, now the Argentinians have a bit to prove here. Now, let's go back to that Australia game. We didn't talk much about it when looking at the Wallabies team, but boy, Australia, Argentina, wow, that was bad. That was the worst game of rugby I've seen in a long time. I mean, the All Blacks Springboks game was okay. It was up and down. It was weird. It was interesting by scoreline. I mean, it was exciting by scoreline, which that's what it had on its side. But in terms of a spectacle of ability or quality, it was certainly not near the mark we would expect from two of the better teams, two of the best teams in the Southern Hemisphere as well. But the Argentinians, woeful. They couldn't catch a cold. They were terrible. Kicking was wayward. They were directionless. It was just poor. It was all round poor. And don't get me wrong, the Wallabies were just as bad, except they made a little bit more of their chances. Overall, though, Argentina, they've gone with, I think, what is probably going to be their best team heading into the Rugby World Cup. They've gone with the big guns. You probably, I don't think, could really change this too much and improve it at all, especially the starting 15. Tite, Chaparro, Creevy, and Fagalo are the front row. That's really good. And I think Fagalo has definitely improved that front row. So the more we see of him, the better as well. Chaparro, Creevy, we know what those guys offer this team. Alimalo and Kramer, yeah, there's probably a bit of argument that Guido Pizzi probably deserves a spot there over Kramer, but I think they're both bullies, they're both big boys, and Pizzi off the bench is certainly a strong option for this Argentinian outfit. So that'll be probably the only change I'll make to the pack, because you've got Matera at 6, Ortega Desio at 7, and Facundo Issa at number 8. That's a very strong pack. Issa has been pretty good this season, I do say. Number 8, he's come on quite strongly. Maybe you look at Lozana, Desio. Yeah, Desio's probably a bit more of a bully sort of player, isn't he? Lozana, certainly a bit more agile around the game. But Pablo Matera, we've got to see a big game from him in this Argentinian jumper. He needs to stand up like he did in Super Rugby and give us more of that amazing play that we like from Pablo Matera. He's going to be key for this pack, but I think it's a good pack. If they can stand up in the scrum against the Springboks, which I think is going to be a big struggle, they could give them a bit of a push, but I struggle to see that one coming about throughout this matchup. Into the back line, Tomas Cobelli will partner Nicolas Sanchez. More needed from Sanchez, please. Look good against the All Blacks, but let's be fair, no one looked good against Australia. So we'll give them a pass, and we'll reset now for the Springboks. De La Fuente and Moroni, that's your midfield partnership for the Pumas. They're good. De La Fuente, fantastic link-up player, and Matthias Moroni, I think, is a superb finisher. It's almost like having another winger in that centre option as well. Santiago Cordero on the right wing, and of course Mojano. That guy's electric. I love these two wingers. Cordero, Mojano was kind of like the new day Cordero, isn't he? Because Cordero was a game breaker with his style of play and his ability. Emiliano Boffelli. Oh, I do like this back three. I do like this back three indeed. Cordero, Mojano, Boffelli, give me more of that. I want to see more of it. Those guys are electric, and if they hit their straps, oh, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting, and I'm really looking forward to see what those guys can do. Argentina, I don't think there's anything special they need to do here, but just play their game, do their basics. They've got the skills, they've got the players, they've got the abilities. They just got to do the easy things right. Okay, easy things is a tough way to put it. But they've got to catch the ball. They've got to kick for grass. They've got to play smart. They've got to have a game plan, which I think they struggled with against the Wallabies because they had an idea, didn't work, but they didn't adapt. They didn't evolve. They didn't try anything different, despite the fact they couldn't catch the ball as well. Probably didn't help the situation, but they've got to look at do something different as well and make this work. On the bench, they've got plenty of excitement as well. Matoisha, Vivas and Medrano on the bench for the front row. Petty, as I said, in the second row. Lozana, the back row replacement. Bertino will be the scrum half replacement. Udapaleta will be there for the backs alongside Jacqueline Tukalet, who we will see in some capacity as well. So, interesting lineup for this Pumas side. I do like it. I find it exciting. I really like this Argentinian side. We just haven't seen that transfer from that great Super Rugby form, make it the final. So good, so high, so brilliant. It hasn't transformed, has it? It really hasn't transformed. Great against the All Blacks, but that All Blacks matchup always brings out the best in a side. Australia, it really went falling down, crumbling in a big heap, didn't it? Alright, so that's a bit of a look at the Argentinian side. Let's switch it over to their opponents, the Springboks, who have, again, gone with a fairly strong side. Now, it's hard to get a weak Springbok side at the moment because they're looking so good. The pack especially now need a big performance as well. The Beast is back. Tendai Tamawera will start on the loose side with Mbanambi in the middle and Naikani at the tight. So, they've really mixed it up, haven't they? No marks, and Mbanambi's got the nod. Kitshoff, who I thought was brilliant against the All Blacks, sits on the bench for this one. As was Mahalbro, I thought they had a very, very good team performance, that front row around the field. They are everywhere as well. So I like what we're seeing here from this South African side. They're mixing it up, and they've really got depth now they're building. Now you can see those three guys can start, but you also see the three on the bench are more than capable of starting the matchup as well. So very strong by South Africa. We want to see more of that from them as well. And they're gone with that sort of theme, I guess, throughout this whole team and throughout most of those key positions. Etzebeth and Motstar will start in the second row, but of course they got Snyman, who is a bit of an impact bully off the bench, isn't he? Which he does bring a lot of physicality into a tiring team. That is pretty punishing as well. Quagga Smith, of course, open side in the number 6 jumper. Need more from him. Brilliant at Super Rugby level, but just doesn't seem to step that up to international level. So he needs a big performance here to get himself up into that sort of tier and keep that number 6 jersey for his own. Detroit will start at 7 once again, who's proving in leaps and bounds to make that jersey his own. Much to my displeasure as to why he plays there. He really is making that a great performance there, number 7 jumper. And, of course, Dane Vermeulen will line up at number 8. Very, very solid pack, very strong. So you can't really pick holes in that at all. Any place you could possibly argue would be the sort of thing that marks Kitshoff Mahalbra should probably be maybe the front row, but no. Mtawera, the experience, Mbanambi, Naikani, those guys is overshot. And I think, like I say, depth of having 6 guys in your front row who can start and play at a good level, it's certainly good to have that impact off the bench because you always have those impact players coming in off the bench. Into their back line, Faf de Klerk, brilliant little player. And of course, they'll have Herschel Yankees coming off the bench as well. So that's always a big boost for them as well, having a guy like Yankees, who is a game winner at the moment. He is the golden boy of South African rugby. He's doing it easy. This international test stuff, he says, it's easy for me. It's easy for me. Just let me off the bench. I'll win the game for you, he says. No problem for Herschel. But de Klerk starts, and I think he's a great asset back in the South African side. His combination with Andre Pollard, very good. Pollard is he's just the epitome of a complete number 10, isn't he? And I think anyone in World Rugby would love to have them in their side. He's probably one of the few players, who would slip in nicely to an All Black team and say, there you go, slot. There we are. We've got it sorted. The midfield partnership will be Dialendi and Lakanyu has had a great season as well. Dialendi certainly needs to probably step it up a bit more. I think he needs to make his game a bit more versatile and in that sort of area of the field. Probably give a bit more ball out to his outside backs, who I think have been a bit starved. Tiz and Colby, fantastic against the All Blacks, but just think if they gave him more ball, what he could have done. Marcus Mapimpi quiet in the last game, but certainly has that X factor to make things happen. And Vili Leroux will be the fullback for the Springboks. Now, of course, a complete player as well. This is really looking like a very, very good Springboks side. And for mine, they're the favourites to take out the Rugby Championship this year. Probably a bit of the whole thing of they can have the title because it brings those added pressures as well in a World Cup year. But also the fact I think they've been the best team. To come to New Zealand and snaffle that draw, fair play to them. Fair play to them. You've got to be good enough. You only play what's put in front of you. Was it their best display? No. Was it the All Blacks' best display? No. It wasn't either side's best display. But you only play what's in front of you, and they played well enough to pick up that draw against the All Blacks. So you've got to give them credit. They haven't lost there on a couple of occasions now. So brilliant for South African rugby, which seems to be on the recharge. So it's 2019, the year of the Springbok. We'll find out over, well, at least this weekend. We'll get a bit of a taster. But later on in the year could be the big decider as to what South Africa is going to accomplish this year. They've gone for strong bench as well, as we've already talked a little bit about. A lot of these guys, Marks, Kitchoff, Mahalbra, Snyman, the second row as well. Low, the back row replacement. Herschel Yankees is there. Steyn and Creel are the back players as well. So, yeah, Steyn and Creel, I mean, two you're normally midfielders. Are we going to see Steyn come on to 10? Because there's not really anyone else who's going to fill that role, is there, for Pollard? So Steyn's probably the guy that's going to be the 10, 12 sort of replacement, depending how the game's going to go. And Creel, I don't really want to see Jesse Creel on the wing, but there's always that possibility they might have to play there if needed. But it's very different to what we see from Australia, isn't it? And to an extent, the All Blacks as well. Argentina and South Africa have gone very much with, this is your job, this is your position, do it. Now, we look at the Wallabies, we talk a lot about that versatility and mixing and matching up. Guys coming in at number 10 and swapping and having that change around being what probably will be their idea of strength in the game against the All Blacks. But this South African team, very simply, it is Pollard, 10. It is Delendi, 12. Arm, 13. Colby, Mapimpi, wings. Leroux, fullback. I mean, they're very, very rigid, very solid. And that's your role. That's how you do it. And that's the way it should be. You shouldn't have, Delendi should not be on the wing. Jesse Creel should not be on the wing. Those sort of guys, they've got a role. They're good at it. They're good at it for a reason. And they're in the Springboks team for a reason because they're good where they play. Don't mess with it. I think that's why I like the Springboks team. They play in the position that these guys are best at. And they get the best out of these guys as well. So maybe these other sides, like the All Blacks, like the Wallabies, can learn a thing from this as they try and make things fit. A square block into a circle hole just doesn't fit, does it? So they've got to really work it out and get things back on the straight and narrow. But for this, the South Africans, great team, great side. And let's get into it. Let's make the picks for our matchup. Game number 2, Argentina versus South Africa. Yeah, I think most people are going to go for the Springboks here, but the Argentinians, I think, should make a good little fist of it. Depends how they play. If they play like they did versus the Wallabies, it's going to be a no-show. I think the Springboks are going to do this one fairly easily. By 9 points, they should canter home and, I think, become Rugby Championship victors for 2019. Let's lock that sucker in as well. Not quite as much as the Australia-New Zealand game, but still, 91% are expecting a South Africa win. I can see driving more down the bottom there has actually gone for Argentina by 3. Don't know what he's thinking there. Really don't know what he's thinking. But that is it anyway. We're going for the All Blacks. We're going for the Springboks to win both away teams as well, to win this weekend. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. We had a little bit of a look at the games coming up in the Rugby Championship this weekend. Enjoy the games this weekend. Make sure to tune in on Twitter, so go follow me there. The link will be in the description below for my Twitter handle. You can go check that out. And join in on the banter this weekend. We'll be abusing some referees, abusing some players, and having some good old Twitter fun. Until then, thanks for watching, and as always, take care.